Hello, listeners, and welcome to Dragon Talk, your award-winning student life podcast covering all the amazing things happening here in Dragon Country. I'm your host, Ryan Record, and today we are diving even deeper into one of the most transformative experiences our students have here at HCC, our Study Abroad program. In a previous episode, we heard from several students about the incredible adventures they had in the program. However, in this episode, we are shifting our focus to the faculty who make these wonderful experiences possible and who witness the impact of global learning firsthand. And joining me today are three esteemed members of our faculty, each bringing their own unique perspectives and disciplines to the table. And let me just say, it's an absolute honor to have them share their experiences. We'll be hearing from Professor Kling, Chef Milburn, and Dr. Bianchi about their respective journeys and insights. I have the pleasure of sitting down with Professor Kling, who is a geology and oceanography teacher here at the college. How are you doing today? It's a pleasure to have you.
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's awesome to have you and speak on the wonderful Study Abroad program we have.
Yes. It's always a fun time to head overseas.
So what motivates you to lead these study abroad trips?
So my study abroad trip goes to Bermuda. And one of the neat things about going there is the fact that a lot of HCC students, that's one location they have not been to. And many of the students that go actually haven't even been out of the state of Maryland. And so I like to introduce the students not only to, different culture, but also because it gives them a sense of independence when they're there. And when you're abroad studying a topic, so for our class, they're studying oceanography or they're studying geology, they get to actually see the oceanography going on in person. So, you can read about it in a textbook, you can watch it on a video, but then they actually put on a snorkel and face mask and they get to snorkel around a coral reef. And so they actually are able to identify the organisms there. They're actually able to see them, in their native environment. And so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's far out. And as far as study abroad trips go, Bermuda's a little puddle jump.
It is. It's a short little flight, less than 2 hours. It's faster to get to Bermuda than it is to get to Florida or something like that.
That's very true.
So it's an easy first trip for many students.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what unique resources or opportunities does the destination of Bermuda offer for your subject matter?
Yeah, so when we go to Bermuda, we stay at BIOS, which is the Bermuda Institute of Ocean Sciences, and it's actually a world-famous oceanography research lab. And so we have a lab setting there with dormitories, and there are scientists coming from all over the world to actually do research around Bermuda or to start cruises. It would be a research cruise, not a party cruise, but start cruises from that location and go out. By going to Bermuda and staying at the Oceanography Institute, the students are able to interact with other students, graduate students from other countries, from other schools, and also researchers that are coming to do research. And everyone sits together at mealtime. And so you get to learn about what they're studying, what they're doing. And I've had students that then come back and start emailing with researchers or other students they've met. And they've actually gone and visited their schools before and, gotten involved with their research and things like that. So it's kind of provided opportunities and expanded their horizon. So
yeah, that's awesome. That kind of collaboration is invaluable.
It is. It's something you would not get just by staying in the classroom here, And,
no way. It opens up so many pathways as well for future research endeavors, university opportunities and whatnot.
Yeah,
so.
And it also, some students go on the trip and they're just general education majors, they haven't decided what their major is going to be. And then they see the possibilities and they're like, oh, that's what I want to do. And so it gives them a focus moving forward in their education.
Yeah, that's awesome. So tell me about some of the biggest hurdles you face when planning this trip.
So our trip's a little bit unique in that we spend a lot of our time in and around water. So one of the hurdles for our trip is that we have to know how comfortable all of our participants are in water. before we get there, because we don't want to be on one of the research ships that we go out on while we're there and be 10 miles off the coast and have someone jump in the water and sink to the bottom. So for ours, we have a series of orientations and a series of activities that students have to do, or the participants have to do before they go. One is a swim test. And it's not that you necessarily have to be the strongest swimmer. You just have to prove to us that you're comfortable in the water. And comfortable in the water may be that you need to wear a life vest, but you're happy just chilling there in the water and you're fine. So
right.
If not, then if you want to go on the trip, that gives you a goal of something to achieve before we go. And so then we, make sure that you're going to a pool, that you're practicing putting your head in the water, that you're doing all of those things. So,
because thankfully with snorkeling, you're just kind of floating on top.
You are. And we encourage everyone actually to wear an inflatable vest just because it makes it easier and you can spend more time in the water. So I'm comfortable in the water, but sometimes I'm like, I don't feel like doing a lot of work today. I'm just going to, put on the inflatable vest and I can just stick my head in and just watch all the fish go by. But another thing that we have to get students used to, or the participants before they go on the trip, is that it's not a resort. We are not going to a tropical resort in Bermuda. There aren't going to be people with tropical beverages around and things like that. Instead, we are going to an oceanographic institute that's been there for over 100 years.
Wow.
And it's a tropical environment. So that means there's lots of bugs, lots of insects. You will find ants inside. Ants will find any sugar, any food, anything, any crumb that you might bring into your bedroom. And so we have to prepare students for that. And also the fact that there's not a lot of air conditioning there. So air conditioning takes a lot of resources. It's very expensive.
Yeah.
It's not 100 degrees, but it's humid and warm there. And so you just your body gets used to it over the course of the week. But it is, sometimes a little bit of a shock to the students that there's not going to be AC everywhere.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it is a luxury and we take it for granted.
Yeah.
But it's manageable. Being on such a tiny island, crack the window open. You get a nice breeze coming in. And
yes, crack the window open and go in the water. So,
and like you said, it's not a resort, but hearing from one of your students, it is comfortable there.
Oh, yes. It's a great place, and the food's excellent. It's a fun place to be and to experience the island from. You have to have your expectations in place before you arrive. So we're not going to the, Ritz. So.
So how do you prepare your students for the academic, cultural, and logistical aspects of the trip before they leave?
Yeah, so we do some of that, as I was alluding to before, in our orientations, when we have the swim test, when we talk about what the conditions are like when we're there, and we talk about what you need to bring. And then culturally, we also try to make sure that ahead of time people have expectations. We take a lot of public transportation. In Bermuda, they have a fantastic bus system there, and so we like to travel by bus. It is a British Commonwealth, and so when you're there, they're very proper still. You always greet someone, the bus driver especially, first when you get on with a hello, and you always thank them when you get off. And people are always giving up their seats on the bus for people who may need them without being asked. And so just making people be aware of their surroundings and aware of the situation before they get there. But we also want to be good guests while we're there as well.
As Americans, we could probably learn a thing or two from them about being polite.
Yeah, it's a good experience, I think, for everyone.
So, in your experience, what kind of unique teaching opportunities arise from being on location?
Oh, I love teaching in Bermuda. Besides the fact that it's Bermuda, but we go out on research vessels, as I mentioned before, and so I'll give a lecture from the front of a boat before we dive in and look at a coral reef. We go to another park a little bit south of where we stay, and there are sinkholes and cave features in that area. And so we'll be talking about caves, and then we'll go swimming down into the cave. And so I can actually point out stalactites and stalagmites from inside a cave versus on a PowerPoint. And then students can jump off the sides into the sinkholes, and so they can see what the sinkholes, look like from above and below. I think it's a completely different thing when, I talk about different sediment, carbonate sediment, sand, this, that, and I can actually pick it up and pass it around to the students in that location. They can see the differences between the various coral reefs that we go to.
Yeah, that's far out.
Yeah.
So remind me again, stalactite is from above, and stalagmite comes from the bottom?
Fantastic.
I was at Luray Caverns a month ago.
Oh, yes. I love Luray. Stalactite top. Remember, tight top comes down from the top. Yep. So you've
See,
got it.
You can learn something new on Dragon Talk.
You can, definitely.
And Professor Kling, thank you so much again for taking time out of your busy schedule to come through and do this today.
Anytime. I appreciate it.
All right, and we're back with Dragon Talk, and I have the honor of sitting down with David Milburn, chef here at HCC. David, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good.
The work never stops when you're a chef, right?
Oh, never stops. Never stops. We're always doing something. Trying to be creative, trying to prove our skills, trying to please the public with what we're making. So, yeah, it never stops.
And as I understand, you've led the Study Abroad Program to France.
Yeah, it was a great opportunity for our students. I've had some students that's never been on an airplane or even been out of the state.
Wow.
So it was definitely life-changing for them.
Absolutely. But yeah, what motivates you to lead the Study Abroad Program?
As an instructor, it's one of the reasons why we teach is that light bulb moment when you see a student change. And doing a Study Abroad program accelerates that. You really see changes in students. So for me, it's a personal gratification to reach a student, to change their life, and to plant that travel bug that they'll want to do something like this again.
That's awesome. So how do you integrate the Study Abroad experience into your curriculum?
So with my class, the program, I should say, you can either take advanced pastry techniques or you can take the Study Abroad program, which is called Passport to Pastries. So they don't have to do both. They can take one or the other. But if they take the Passport to Pastries one, where we go to France, it's a 7-week course, and the students are meeting on campus 3 days a week, 5 hours each day, and we're focusing on French pastries and French culture. So we're really diving into where many of the world's famous desserts have come from. But we're looking at modern French desserts also and how the trends have changed and things like that. But, it's just there's so many French terms used in the baking world. They actually have a vocabulary list of 100 French baking terms.
Wow.
So we give this same quiz to brand new students. It's not part of their grade. We're just seeing how students are when they come in.
Trying to gauge it, where they're at.
Exactly. And then I give the same test again, exam. And it's just amazing, the radical change. And they're able to use those terms while they're in France.
Right. I mean, that's tangible growth.
Right.
What unique resources or opportunities does the destination offer for your subject matter?
Well, Paris. So patisseries, Bolgenaires. We went to a patisserie. It's the oldest patisserie in Paris. It dates back to 1730.
Wow.
And then we took them to another store that supplies equipment for chefs, the pots, the pans, the knives, that type of thing. Julia Childs used to shop there. This store is over 200 years old. And just to go in and feel the history of the store. For a chef, it's like being in a candy store. You're just walking around going, oh, I want this, I want this, I want that. So it's really a great opportunity for them. And then we head south to East Central, where our students are enrolled in a pastry school. They're enrolled for a week, and they're being taught by their instructors. They just take it to another level. And they're just learning so much. And they have 26 pastry instructors, 14 pastry kitchens.
Wow.
And this tiny little village. It's amazing. So many of the students have inquired about going back to that school later to maybe do a few months at the school or something like that. So, yeah.
Incredible. So what unique teaching opportunities arise from being on location?
When I'm teaching, I talk about the precision of a baker. If you're doing petite gâteaux, each one has to be like a little tin soldier. They all have to look alike. And students hear that, but they don't realize until they actually see it in France that every strawberry on each dessert is cut exactly the same because, we start to eat with our eyes first.
Right.
And so with that precision, the customer is going to start enjoying it before they even take a bite. Yeah, they're able to see that firsthand and really experience it. And of course, they're going to bring that back now.
Right.
Yeah, because baking is a skill. You have to develop those skills.
Right. And consistency is everything, as you know. I am no baker.
Yeah.
when you can cook, you can make some mistakes and compensate. But when you're baking, you add an extra teaspoon too much of something, or you don't cut that strawberry just right, it's gonna ruin the whole experience.
It can. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So what aspects of leading the study abroad trip do you find most rewarding?
Those students that never really traveled before, that they want to come back. That fear of traveling dissipates. Or they're talking about, okay, well, we did this, where can we go next?
Yeah.
And with our students going to France, they're experiencing the French palate for desserts. They're experiencing some flavors that we don't necessarily have here. You're going to see a lot of hazelnut desserts, chestnut. Now they have these new flavors that they can experiment with and things like that. For some of them, it's life-changing. I had one particular student, and she was so extremely quiet. Awesome student. But by the end of this trip, she was friends with everybody. And she just opened up and blossomed. And even her mother thanked me. For me, that transformational, seeing somebody opening up and changing is very rewarding for me.
Yeah, in real time. That's huge.
Oh, it is.
Can't understate that impact. And last question for you. Is there a local contact, faculty member, or guide who makes a huge difference on these trips but rarely gets the spotlight?
Oh, 100%. Jackie in the International Education Office.
The students love Jackie.
She is so cool. I'll be honest with you, I probably couldn't do this trip without her.
Yeah.
She is such a huge help. Yeah, Jackie, if you're listening to this, you're the best.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Chef Milburn, for coming on the show. I know you have a busy schedule, taking the time out to share your experiences, and it was a pleasure to have you on Dragon Talk. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for having me.
I have the honor of sitting in with Dr. Bianchi, who has led the study abroad programs in Italy and Greece. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I love talking about study abroad, so I'm excited.
So, what motivates you to lead these trips?
Well, for me, study abroad is incredibly personal. I actually started off as a math major, and then I did a year study abroad in Austria. I was living in this 13th century palace, monastery, and I lived in history. And every weekend I went to a different city, went to the historical sites. Study abroad just opened my eyes to history. I always loved reading history books, but it really made me want to major in history. And so then when I started teaching at HCC, when I saw study abroad, I was like, yeah, I want to do for other students what I experienced. I can bring people and not just teach them history, but really live in history. And so it's incredibly personal for me. But at the same time, I'm doing it for the students as well, right? So what am I doing when I'm going to the Coliseum for the 10th time? I am not looking at the Coliseum. I'm looking at the student's face. And so I get excited when they get excited. This program is for you. I'm doing everything in my capacity to make you have an incredible life-changing experience. And so that's what motivates me. It's like I've been there, I've seen it, but now I just want to share it. But I want them to have that incredible experience that I had when I was in undergrad.
I love that. Super wholesome. How do these experiences enrich your own teaching and research?
That's a great question because with history, I think that if you've not been to the location, I don't know, it's not really authentic. If I'm teaching ancient Greek history and I've never been to Athens, I feel like I'm kind of making it up a little bit, right? I don't have the full experience to share with my students. And the same thing, you see the pictures in the textbook rather than be like, yeah, it's really breathtaking. You're like, no, I was there. It was breathtaking.
Yeah.
And you show the pictures and the PowerPoints that are your pictures. So obviously this is a huge, huge improvement in my teaching since I've done these study abroad programs and I've been able to travel to those locations.
So, how do you prepare your students for the academic, cultural, and logistical aspects of these trips?
So there isn't a lot of contact with the students until the week before we leave. And in that week before, we have 4 full days. It's like from like 9 to 1 p.m., I think. So we spend at least 16 hours together before we leave. And the majority of that is the course. So I'm teaching them the history. Okay, so if we're going to Greece, I'm teaching them the history of Greece. Okay, so they're walking there not as a stupid American, but they know all the background information. I have students do presentations on all the major sites. So they know one site particularly well, but all of the students have heard of the sites before we're there. So we get all that background information. And then additionally, each day, spend about an hour just talking about the logistics of traveling. All right, how do we pack? One day we'll do basic language, just how to say hello, how to say, I speak English, where is the dove o bagno, where's the bathroom, just like simple stuff, because that's a sign of respect. And then we'll do one day like kind of just cultural things like what's the food, because we're going to look at the menu and it's going to be dishes that they're not familiar with. It's not going to be Olive Garden,
Right.
It's going to be different. Italian food in Italy is different. It's actually very regional. So there's no such thing as Italian food, actually. There's Roman cuisine, all right? There's Neapolitan cuisine. It's completely different. So when they hit the ground running, they have us there, but they also have a lot of information. And even though you tell it to them, it's not until you're there that it starts clicking, until they go to a couple restaurants. And the confidence they get from the first restaurant experience to the last restaurant experience is actually, it's pretty amazing. I give them the Metro map, and at first they're so confused, and then at the end they're just like, they're walking in front of me, like doing the path through the metro stations, getting back and navigating it and telling me what part of the city they went to. So that's super cool.
Yeah, for sure. If you could, please share a moment where like the learning clicked in an unexpected way.
One of my most favorite moments was on this last trip in Naples, and we went to a chapel that's known for its incredible artwork. The big thing that everybody comes through is a statue called the Veiled Jesus. Mm-hmm. But actually within that chapel, there is another work of art that you also have to check out. It's called Release from Deception. And it's a person covered with a net, and the net is carved from a single piece of marble. And this person is escaping this net, and there's different things. There's knowledge, spiritual and secular, that's freeing this person from their passions, from their mental enslavement. And so I'm like talking with this student about this work of art, and our tour guide is there, and this student is like, I can't believe it. This is so cool. Like, he turned to me, and he was like, this is the first time I ever understood art. And I think he was kind of joking. He's like, I am going to get a tattoo of this statue. I was like, whoa. And it's actually the most amazing sculpture. It just blows away anything that Michelangelo has done or Bernini. Like, the technical aspect of this is the climax of sculpture. But the first time a person has ever understood art, I'm there standing with the person. I was also pretty moved by the statue as well, because I hadn't been to this particular chapel before. So I'm just like, wow, this is so cool. This is why I do it.
Yeah, art's a powerful thing. What aspects of leading the study abroad trip do you find most rewarding?
Sure. I think it's the, human relationships. It's really, really, really impressive. There was one trip where we have like a farewell dinner, and it was just kind of like, I don't know what was particular about that group, but everybody went around and was saying how they grew that experience. I would say like 75% of the students were like crying. And I was like, nobody's cried at the end of my face-to-face classes. Maybe they're crying tears of joy. I'm done with history. But I mean, the bond, like, wow, we really bonded. We formed something. So at that moment, particularly those farewell dinners, are incredibly rewarding.
That's touching. And how have you seen students transform throughout the program? Because you've been doing it for a long time now, so.
Yeah, definitely personal growth and self-confidence is through the roof. That mastery of just walking in to restaurants or ordering ice cream, gelato, navigating the subway. We had a student that had like a fear of escalators to a certain extent and was like holding on to me in Dulles. And then like 3 days later, we were like navigating the scary subway system of Naples, like it's a maze. And I just see her by herself and I just like smile and she gives me a big thumbs up with a huge smile. And I was like, that's crazy. I mean, we're thrown into some pretty chaotic cities,
right,
and they're just mastering it. They know when they come back, like the incredible, like, hey, I never left Maryland. Now I travel to another country and was just navigating these cities by myself. I can do anything.
Exactly.
Not just travel, but just, either going on to a 4-year school and living in a dorm and stepping away from the family to have a stronger like vision of themselves, which I really think is the key to the mental health crisis, really, where if they've got that foundation a little bit and support system of our group, an anxious situation, and they overcome it, we threw you a big challenge and you succeeded. And so all this other stuff that's making me anxious, I don't need to worry about it. We detach them from like social media and their phones. We detach them from staying inside. We make them walk 10,000 steps and being outside. Yeah. Just go out and go to a cafe, go to get ice cream, go to a restaurant, go to the water. Like you can just go out and walk. Like it's such a beautiful thing. That's really a transformation for the students. And I think that's why they're sad they leave. They realize they're going back to their regular life. But we're like, hey, you can travel on your own now. Next time you don't need to go with HCC.
Man, I wish I could go back in time and do this thing, but...
Oh, sure. You can come on our programs.
Right on. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to do this today, Dr. Bianchi.
Thank you.
And that brings us to the end of another insightful episode of Dragon Talk. It's my hope that this deep dive into our faculty experience has given you an even richer understanding of the incredible opportunities available through our Study Abroad program. If you're a student considering studying abroad, or even if you just want to learn more, be sure to visit Howard Community College's Office of International Education by the library in CL 113, or search Study Abroad on the HCC website. They have all the information you'll need to start your own global adventure today. There are currently 4 study abroad programs being offered to Greece, Ecuador, Kenya, and Taiwan. Just keep in mind that all these programs are tentative based on the number of students who apply. I have also been informed that both the study abroad application and the study abroad scholarship application are up and live right now. It's important to apply soon, because all the applications are due by November 14th at 11:59 p.m. And be sure to join me on the podcast next time to celebrate Cybersecurity Month here at HCC. Until then, this is Ryan Record, signing out. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed what you just heard, we have a whole universe of podcasts waiting for you. Simply search Dragon Podcasts wherever you get your podcasts. You can also explore our full lineup and discover new shows at podbean.com/dragonpodcasts. That's podbean.com/dragonpodcasts.